What's up, people, and welcome to another episode of the Feelings First, Facts Later podcast with Nathan Mitchell and Cristina.
Hey.
And today's episode is going to be covering the third rule of 8 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty. If you have not checked out the 2 previous episodes, go ahead and check them out because we are going over this book, not in full detail at all, but just kind of giving our thoughts on some of the things that kind of spoke to us, for lack of better words, per each rule. So today is going to be the third rule. I almost thought about lumping the third and the fourth rule together, just because the fourth rule is kind of shorter.
I haven't gotten there. I'm going as we go. Because it's easier for me to remember.
I wish I would have. Okay.
You have a great memory, babe. I don't these days.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Well, then you'll see that the fourth rule is kind of like, it's kind of straightforward, but if anything, we can mix 4 and 5 together. Okay. Because we have some things that we're going to talk about before we get into the rule today. We're actually going to look at the people. Look at the people. We're actually going to introduce kind of like a new segment, kind of game. Okay, I am. And it's called What Would Chris Think of This? We have to come up with a jingle. Like, what would Chris think of this?
There you go.
Da-da, you know, kind of thing.
You just did.
And with this, my plan is to throw just a couple of little things out at you. And I just want you to give me your knee-jerk reaction. I don't want you to pretend that there are people possibly listening and that this is going to be something that's going to be on the internet.
You don't want me to
forever.
act like what's really happening.
I want you to let these people know who you are, you are inside. When it's you and I just spitballing back and forth, if it's that bad, I'll bleep it out or whatever. Okay. But I want your raw reaction. So what I'm going to be throwing at you is going to be maybe some current events, some news topics, maybe even just something random that I thought of, right? And first you're going to give me your reaction. We're going to go through all of them real quick, and then we'll go back and we'll revisit some of them, and we'll kind of have like a little conversation about it. Are you ready?
I think so.
The pressure's on.
Okay.
All right. What would Chris think of this? All right. So Jesse James Decker slams United Airlines for making her sister get on her hands and knees and pick up after her children's mess.
Who's that?
So she's a country singer.
Okay.
And the sister, I want to say, is married to a baseball player.
Okay.
I don't have the baseball player written here.
Okay.
But she was flying on United Airlines.
Okay.
And her 2 children, I believe a 2 and a 5-year-old, were eating popcorn and they were making a mess all over the place. And the flight attendant said to her that the pilot has instructed her to tell her, hope this didn't get confusing, that she needs to clean up her children's mess.
She was traveling alone.
Yes. And 5 months pregnant. What are your thoughts?
My first thought was like, pick up after your fucking kid.
There it is. All right.
Okay.
We'll come back to it.
But then I have thoughts on it.
Okay. So first thought, pick up after your fucking kids. Next one. Okay. What will Chris think of this? All right. Guys are now getting fake abs.
That's the new thing? I thought that's been a thing.
So it's been a thing, but now it's a thing that is talked about. It's like women no longer being shamed about getting BBLs. Guys are getting their abs done.
It's gross.
Okay. Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
And this is kind of along the same lines of abs, but not quite.
Okay.
All right. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Don't get wet on me, okay? All right. Jonathan Majors is being dropped by his PR and his management team for everything that transpired about a month ago. Thoughts?
Not surprised.
All right. And the last one. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a bonus round. Now for this one, and everyone out there, you all can participate as well. Okay. I want you to close your eyes for a second.
Do I really have to?
Yes, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine yourself walking into a home, right? You don't smell anything. You don't see anything because the lights are out. I've
never been here before.
You've never been here before.
Okay.
You only hear the sound of a smoke alarm battery that needs to be changed going off every 15 seconds. Name that race.
Black.
Boom.
That's fucked up. It's true though.
It is true. It is true. It is true. There it is. Black people, you need to do better. And this is actually going to be a PSA. And so we're gonna stop here, and we're gonna let everyone know it is very important to change your smoke alarm batteries. And it is quite revealing of your character if people have to hear eat, whether it be over the phone, in the house.
How are
and
you unbothered?
And it
How
doesn't.
do you sleep at night?
I do
Literally.
not know. I do not know. I do not know. But we need to do better as people of color. Let's do better.
And it's also a hazard.
Right. It's not safe.
No.
It's letting you
want
know.
those to work.
And it's
I
kind
want to
of
work.
it's kind of for a reason that it's annoying you. Is because it's saying,
like,
hey, look, you should
I would
probably
love to do
change
my
this.
job, but I can't soon.
Effectively.
Yeah.
Right. Right. One day I won't beep, and then you'll find relief that I'm not beeping, and then
But
your
you
house
might
is gonna burn
die.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that?
Huh?
Okay. All right. There it is. I actually thought you were going to hold back a little bit
In general,
on that last one.
I knew the minute you said it, I was like, oh God. Black people know they do it though. That's why I didn't feel bad about it.
Okay. All right.
I mean,
you know what? I think they might be in denial about it. Do you think that they know that they do it?
Or that it's not an abnormal thing.
Or that?
I think it's the latter.
Okay. All righty. Fair enough. Okay. So let's get back to the first question about the sister that was told by the flight attendant. I'm guessing a sister. We ain't doing that. Told her she needs to pick up after her children. What say you?
It must have been really bad.
I saw it. It was a good amount. It was a good amount. And my guess is that the flight attendants probably kindly told her about it before it got to that point. And, white parents will white parent. And, you just need to be a little bit more careful. Stop that. And they just kind of did their own thing because they're 2 and 5. And they made a mess.
Yeah. But I mean, at 5, you can pick up after yourself. So it's okay if you're going to make a mess. But at least attempt to pick up after yourself.
She did it. They made her pick it up.
No. I'm saying you as a parent in the moment, right? If I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, I'm asking the 5-year-old to make an attempt to pick up after herself so that it doesn't create this huge mess, which then I'm going to be responsible for.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Flight attendants are making it known that they are not here for the bullshit.
Yeah, as they shouldn't be. Imagine if they allowed everybody to do whatever the fuck they want to do and throw whatever the fuck. That's fucked up.
Right. And they were basically saying, hey, if I'm here on my hands and knees picking up after your shit, then I'm potentially not focusing on someone that might need my support.
I agree with that.
This is not what I'm supposed to do.
And they pick up. It's part of their job. But I think it must have been like.
It was a mess.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it was a mess.
Yeah. And I'm sure it was unnecessary.
It was a bit much.
Yeah. Because then you feel like you just really don't give a. And you feel entitled. Like, I don't give a. I'm going to leave this here and get up and go, and it's somebody else's problem. That's not cool.
Yeah.
I would be embarrassed.
Well, and by she, I mean the country singer. I've never heard of a woman, but this was, she made a big stink out of it. And primarily because the woman was 5 months pregnant. And
5 months pregnant, which sometimes you can't even tell when somebody's 5. If she's 9 months pregnant, then okay, maybe.
And allegedly she was high risk.
Okay, then what the fuck are you doing on a plane?
Exactly. That was my thoughts. I was like, wait a minute.
Traveling alone with 2 kids?
I've been around high-risk pregnancy before.
Yeah.
You're not boarding an airplane to travel from point A to point B.
By yourself with children.
Right. Well, I think what it was is that she was more ashamed that she had to do it. And probably that sense of entitlement, like, hey, I paid a ticket. You're supposed to
clean
take
up
care
after
of me,
me.
yada yada yada. And but I'm willing to guess. That the flight attendant probably walked through as they do, and they probably said something when the mess started.
It.
And then
I guarantee
she's
it.
like, oh, okay. And then there we go.
Thinking, oh, they're not gonna care. They're gonna feel bad for me. Like, no.
Yeah.
And I love how they say made her get on her hands and knees. Like they made her get on her. Like,
yeah,
how else were you gonna clean that up?
I know. I mean, there's always squatting if you can get to that position.
But come on.
Yeah.
Or make the fucking 5-year-old get down and pick up.
Well, that would have made more sense. And they would have probably enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's clean up time.
And the 2-year-old would have joined probably if the 5-year-old was doing it.
You make a game out of it. Like, who could pick up the most popcorn?
I think that's where she fucked up.
There it is. Whoever can pick up the most gets more popcorn.
Yeah.
Sounds like a winner to me. Everything's good with the world. That's where we are today. All right. So the next one was the fake abs. Why are you shaming these men?
I'm not shaming.
You said gross.
This is my opinion.
You said gross.
Is that shaming though?
Yeah. This kind of goes back to the conversation that we had last time about like the whole AI and what's real and yada, yada, yada. Like we act like that this whole AI thing is going to be a takeover and it's going to change the world and it's going to alter reality and oh my God, it's going to be chaos. But we've lived in a world where it's like, okay, well, what's real anyway? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like even interacting with people, like you don't know what that person really looks like as far as what they look like coming out the factory, because there's so many modifications and all these other things. The only thing that makes me feel, I guess, funny about now males doing it is that males never before had to worry about their appearance.
Okay.
To the point to where they had to now go through cosmetic surgery.
I know where
keep up with.
You saying you got to why I thought it was gross, because while you're talking, I'm like, well, what's my issue with it? If like women get things done, and I'm not opposed to that, then I'm like, well, why do I think it's gross? And I think there's feminine energy behind it that I don't like.
Right.
For a man to do it. That's what I don't like.
And you're kind of missing what is actually sexually attractive.
Exactly. Like
you.
I don't want to be in competition with like, what are we going to take each other to appointments now? Like you get something done, I'm getting, it's a fucking weird. Like I want to do it with my girlfriend, not with my man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then what are we going to go get Botox together? Like what's happening?
Well, I mean, if you're going with abs, because I would imagine
if you're going with abs, you've been getting Botox.
Yeah, I would imagine that that's a process. Because from what I understand, it's not just lipo; it's other things that they're doing in order to get the abs in there.
They're putting something in to create abs.
I believe so. Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I believe so. It's deeper than just lipo.
Okay.
Because even if you strip away the fat and you don't have the muscle, it's not like you're going to have a 6-pack or an 8-pack showing. You see what I'm saying? Like you have to create that. You have to put in some of the work. Right. On both ends. Right. In a perfect world, if you're getting it naturally, you would reduce your fat and increase your muscle density. And then now you have abs showing. If you're the type of person that has abs, right? Because genetically, not everyone will have. I use the Rock as an example. That guy is shredded, but he doesn't have a defined 6-pack like you would think of when you think of a guy that's 8% body fat like him. Right. Well, I read an article not too long ago about a guy black guy, as a matter of fact, got his knees done. I believe his knees done.
What does that mean?
Well, it was below his knees. I don't know, or was it about?
Is this the height thing?
Yeah, it was a height thing.
Yeah, we've seen this.
Okay.
I found the doctor on Instagram.
Oh, you did?
I'm stalking the page. It's crazy.
So it was at the knees?
It's something below. They do something here.
So they do like the tibia?
Something. That
seems
weird.
Worse. You would think it would be.
No, I think it had something to do with this.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like we off air have talked about this.
We did briefly.
Yeah.
But if you do it down there, then you have the other bone too. Like you have the tibia and the fibula. So it's like you have two things to worry about. You think it'll be easier to do the femur.
It seemed crazy.
Or at least like, okay, either way it goes. He went in and he wanted to get a couple more inches because he was a shorter guy. And I would imagine a guy with money, which kind of tells me, bro, if you had the money to do this.
You didn't need to do that.
You didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
Like, you're good. You just stand on your wallet and you're good to go. Like, if you can't get women, there's
the height isn't going to fix anything. Yeah.
Now, supposedly, ever since getting that height increase, he has found love. Oh. And now he wants to go back and get more.
Oh.
Right. He wants, of course, wants more love. Because where does it stop? You see what I'm saying? It's like those women that get tit jobs. And like
but if you found love, then what did you go back for?
Well, I would imagine he probably hasn't found love for himself.
Okay.
That's what it is. That's what he's missing.
And it's not going to happen. It's not getting more inches, honey.
Yeah. I don't know. Or maybe he just wants to be fucking taller. I mean, if you're going to do it, at least let it be functional, right? Like be athletic ready. I don't know. But I would imagine a lot probably doesn't work the same,
yeah,
right?
That can't be good.
And that recovery has to be long as
I think whatever we saw initially that brought this to our attention, like the man was saying that it was awful. The recovery was crazy.
Yeah. It's probably close to like a double knee replacement. It takes time.
Yeah.
Oof. But again, it goes back to that thing where I was saying earlier, but we've said 1,001 times on this podcast is, if you're doing those things as a guy, you are missing what attracts you to women.
Because I know short men who have all the confidence in the world and they bag bitches.
1,000%.
But you have to own it.
Right.
Everyone's looking at you. We can see. Everyone knows you're short. There's nothing you can do about it. You got to own that shit.
Right.
And then it can become attractive to some people.
If you're a guy that's 5'6", there are plenty of women that are under 5'6",
or even taller who wouldn't care if you have the right energy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
right. There's that, and it is so weird. It's so weird that we're in this time where it appears that people are spending less time focusing on finding relationships, finding mates, because everyone's just kind of like in and out doing their own thing, or, you know, living this whole life of freedom kind of thing, more so than ever before. But yet we focus so hard on attracting the opposite sex.
Right.
And it's almost
that
like
we're
this
saying
juxtaposition
we're not worried about,
where
but
it's like,
we are clearly.
Like I want to be wanted by someone else, but I don't want to be wanted by someone else.
Yeah.
It's like this weird thing that we're doing. And then it appears to be role reversal on what's happening, where men are now becoming more and more vanity driven, and women are becoming more and more success driven,
right,
along with whatever vanity drive that they've already had. And it's like, where does this go? It almost seems like we're flipping upside down.
Right. Yeah.
Like I wonder what psychologists say about this, like exactly what's happening, and then
what's going to happen.
What does that look like for the future?
Yeah.
You know,
what's going to come of it?
Yeah. I don't know. But like you said, I would imagine a world where women now have to feel like they have to compete with their male mate as far as looks go.
You know what? And to be fair, maybe there's some women who that doesn't bother them.
True.
They're okay with it,
I guess. Well, I guess if you all are equally successful, then maybe it is important that you all are equally as attractive.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like before, if we're talking about women's currency being their looks and the male's currency being their level of success, there was this game where a woman could be super hot, right? And then this guy could be not so attractive but be successful, and then it works. Right. It works, right? Because it's now an even exchange of what the opposite sex wants. But if you are now hot and super successful, which we're seeing that, right?
Right.
I mean, if you look good, it's endless, the amount of money that you can make. You don't even have to be nude, and you can have an OnlyFans, or you can have a what was it called, Cameo? Is that what it's called?
Where you can do messages for people?
You can just talk to people or whatever it may be. You could just be an influencer just because you have a great jawline and you have a nice body, right?
Yeah.
So now there's this...
or just the fact that women could be in any career they want to be today, and be successful 100%. And attractive.
I don't want to discount that. But what I was saying is that there was a time where just being hot, you were just hot. But now being hot, just that alone opens up doors for you to be successful without having to do other things.
Got it.
If you didn't want to. You can do those things.
Yeah.
But You get what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to be a misogynist or anything like that. But because that is now possible, then it's even more, it might be even more important for this successful partner to also be hot too, because I have the two things that make one. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now,
or used to.
I expect you to have the two things that make one.
Yeah.
And now it's, accessible for you because you could just go and
it's
have
just
that.
Interesting because I would assume a man that's getting fake abs isn't doing it for women. In all actuality, women are not worried about that. It's a
maybe
bonus.
Not the abs part.
Right. It's a bonus.
But being fit, I would imagine, would be.
Being fit. But even then, like I'm sure, like, I don't think that's a 100% requirement for all women. Like, take care of yourself. But I don't think every woman needs a man who lives in the gym. I don't think so. I think if you have your shit together, you have a great personality and all the other things, like, I don't think women really, we've talked about this. Looks are not like the main thing for women. So I don't know.
Well, I don't know how much the app thing costs, but I imagine it's pretty expensive. But I've never made the type of money where I can afford that. But just
you also have apps.
Right. So what I'm saying is, speaking from experience from a guy that has walked around with a six-pack for years, not so much now, but for years. Like I was always
that's your
just
normal.
I was exactly. It was just a thing. I think it kind of helped, but it kind of worked against me. If that makes sense.
In what way?
Well, first of all, no one's seeing my abs until my shirt comes off.
You don't walk around with your shirt off?
No. So I mean, unless we were on the beach or something like that, or maybe I had a picture on Instagram or whatever. Like
I saw your abs.
Okay, but if we're in person, you're not seeing my abs unless you like you touch my stomach.
But you can kind of look at you and figure you have abs, babe.
Okay, but watch this. Abs also made me flagged as a fuckboy.
You
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because now it's, here's this guy that clearly can get.
It's also your face.
Really?
It was the whole thing.
It's a whole package?
Yeah, I'm
okay,
sorry.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But I
don't think it was the abs.
I'm just going to say the abs, right?
Okay, sure.
Only because you said that that's not the most important thing. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so I'm saying, as a guy that has had it naturally, it wasn't always the most important thing. It kind of played against me.
Right.
In a way.
Yeah, I could see that.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's like, he can't be fucking trusted.
Yeah, look at him. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So there's that. All right. So we're going down the list. We have two more. Actually, no, we only have one more because we already talked about the doorbell one, right? Not the doorbell, the smoke alarm. Yeah. So Jonathan Majors. So one of the main reasons why I wanted to ask this to you is we've already been kind of talking about it. And so it's just kind of a follow-up, and it's just kind of just a recent thing that's happening within the world of media, right? Yeah. But also, without exposing what you do for a living, you work with higher profile people. We'll just put it that way. So seeing someone's management team and their own PR team dropping them, at least that's what we're told that's going on. What does this say?
That's
to
pretty
you?
bad because they're making money off of you. So that lets you know they're not going to be able to continue making money off of you because no one wants to deal with you.
Right.
That's bad.
And to me, it says that they probably know something that we don't yet know.
Right. That there's not going to be like a recovery from it, or not an easy one if they're not willing to take him and work with that.
Now, the internet's knee-jerk reaction is, oh my God, they're not giving this black man a chance and yada, yada, yada. And look at him. Everyone's turning their back on him. And just because he's black and he did this to a white woman and blah, blah, blah. But I'm looking at this like you. Like, wait a minute. If they knew the truth, right, whatever it may be, behind the scenes, if they knew the truth, we're not going to know because it could be a legal thing, and that's why we're just not going to know unless someone
maybe
leaks
eventually,
it,
who knows?
Until it gets resolved in court, whatever it may be. But if your own people, now if the sponsors drop you and whatever,
kind of to be
then
expected.
that's kind of to be expected because we just live in this virtual signally climate.
They almost have no choice
because they have to play it safe.
Yeah, sponsors, even if they don't want to, they almost have to.
Which I thought it was weird that he was sponsored by the Army because I don't think he was in the Army. So
really?
It's kind of weird.
That's interesting.
Like you would think you would have a soldier do Army commercials, right?
Yeah, that's weird. I didn't know that.
I wonder why they had him doing it.
Huh.
I didn't really look into it, but I don't think
that's
he was.
Interesting.
Like I think he's like a college thespian. You know what I'm saying?
Probably.
Yeah. I mean,
all things considered,
that make a lot of sense. Yeah. Anyway, but yes, if your own people drop you, they 100% know something, and it doesn't look good for this guy. Mm-mm. And I hate to hear it because I had high hopes for him. Like I actually enjoyed seeing him on screen.
I also feel like you just said like the internet is saying, "Oh, it's a black man. They're not giving him a chance." Well, you and I had this conversation before. As a black man, why would you allow yourself to be in that position knowing that? Like, to me, like, shouldn't you have done better knowing?
You would think someone, given that he's a younger actor as far as not his age, but just where he is and the position that he was put in, being, the headliner of this next Marvel phase. He's been doing multiple, big screen films.
Yeah, he's going to be like the next.
You would think someone like a
black man.
You would think someone that's been in that position like a Denzel, which I'm sure they probably did, put him under his wings and like, hey, brother.
Right. Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
You made it. Don't fuck this up.
Right. And here's what that could look like. So you might want to get rid of a few people.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. You certainly have to.
So I almost, I don't know. I can't say I feel sorry for him. On top of the fact that if he is whooping women's asses, like, that's not okay either.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy that we pick and choose when there's gender inequality or equality?
What do you mean?
Like, watch this. If he was whooping on his boyfriend or he was whooping on his best friend, that was a guy, do you think we would react the same?
Well, I don't think so because it's the same.
Okay. So
like you should be able to defend yourself the same.
Okay. So that's why I'm saying I think it's funny that in 2023, we decide to pick and choose whenever we want to agree that there's gender equality or if there's inequality. And I say that because in the same vein, you could say that this was a tragedy because a guy was beating on his girlfriend, right? But then we'll say, everyone has equal rights and there is no gender difference and you could be whatever you want. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's like,
I don't feel that way. So.
Well, I know you don't feel that way, but the mainstream media feels that way, right? Where you'll see a pro-trans commercial where it's okay if a male competes with a trans male or trans woman, whatever, you get what I'm saying? Competes with a biological female. Right. Just to be clear, I'm just confused because I'm just playing this word game to actually articulate how I feel. But if a trans female competes with a biological woman, right, we're saying that is okay because it's all the same, right? Mm-hmm. Some people would say that. But then him whooping on his girlfriend is
a problem. Yeah.
So it's like we pick and choose when there's equality and inequality. Now, I do not think it's okay for a man to hit a woman. That's or even his boyfriend. I don't think any domestic violence is okay.
One needs to be hitting anybody.
I don't think anyone needs to be hitting anybody.
Yes.
But I'm willing to bet in this hypothetical scenario, if he was a man that liked men, or if he had a best friend in that taxi, Uber, or whatever with him, and he was caught. Or
if it was Michael B. Jordan.
If it was Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because they took those pictures together?
Yeah.
Right. If he gave him a 2-piece and choked him, Nobody would not think anyone would care.
Yeah, they'd be here for it, actually. Mm-hmm. Let's see the video.
Because, like you said,
play it back.
It's a even playing field. Oh, okay, now it's even. Okay, all right. But I know you don't think the opposite is fair either.
Right.
But in this world of mainstream media,
right where we're at,
people do. Mm-hmm. But there's that. But as far as like the black thing goes, I think that's just I just is kind of like an easy out, and it's what we were talking about in the previous episode, that we just do this black white thing in the United States, and it's not going anywhere. And do I think that black people do have it a little bit harder when it comes to doing certain things, especially when they're in the spotlight in comparison to let's say a white actor? I guess if we're doing apples to apples, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think it would be ignorant to deny that.
100%. You cannot deny that at all. But it's just it just kind of goes with the narrative. Just like 3 separate events took place most recently where someone got shot because they accidentally did the wrong thing, right?
But they were on someone's property.
Right? You had that young boy that was shot by the older gentleman, right, for ringing his doorbell by accident.
Yep.
And then you had the young lady that was shot in her car because
she was in the wrong driveway. I think. Yeah.
She was in the wrong driveway. She was in a vehicle with her friends, and she was trying to turn around like we always do, right? She got shot, and then another woman just recently got shot trying to jiggle the door handle of someone's car.
I didn't hear about this one.
Yeah, I just saw that story, but I just got exhausted from reading all this shit, and then it's like my brain kind of goes to, is this just propaganda?
Why are we doing this?
Like, why are we doing this? Or is this like the train wreck thing where, you know, you hear about a couple of train wrecks, now you hear about 1,001 train wrecks, but 1,001 train wrecks always happen. It's just now it's a trendy news thing. So maybe this type of thing always happens, but because it's like a hot button topic with all the gun laws and everything going on, and then now you get to add in race to one of them, which is where I was getting. When the news article was put out about the young white woman in her 20s that was shot by a white guy
in the driveway.
It just says female shot by male, right? But for the story with the young black child that was shot by the adult white man, the article read in multiple different articles, it said white man shoots blank, blank, blank.
As if he shot him exclusively because he's black, is the assumption.
Which it could have been.
It very well could have been. Very well could have been. But we don't know.
And we don't know. Right. If you know,
but you're not even giving it a chance. For the details, we don't know.
Right.
No, not by any. I'm not saying it was justified by any means. I'm just saying what exactly happened.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
100%. It's just like you were saying, we don't get the chance to form our own opinions based on what took place. We're automatically told to think XYZ.
Yeah.
So we're told to think that this was a race-related issue because a white man did this. Meanwhile, a white man shot a white woman, and it said nothing about his color. There was not even race. You just had to look his name up, and then you could see that he's a white guy. So, but I believe the third story, the most recent story, where the young lady was shot and killed by jiggling the handle. My jiggling the handle thing.
I was like, what is
because you're like jiggling. You know, when you open up a car door handle.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah. What do you think I'm doing? Like, just bring it? I want to say he was some sort of Latino.
And what was the woman?
A white, I believe.
Okay.
I believe. I don't know. But it's the world we live in. What can we do?
Yeah.
But we eat it up and we accept it, kinda. But I think we just have no choice. It's just where we are, and I don't think we're going anywhere anytime soon with that. But
shooting people, or just the race thing in the news?
Just the race thing in the news.
Okay.
Not until AI takes over and
speaking of AI, my daughter told me that her Snapchat now has an AI thing.
Like what?
She said, "Oh, Mom, I have an AI." She called it an AI bot. And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Yeah, and I ask it questions, and I asked it for a red velvet recipe." And I was like, "Explain to me what you're talking about. How do you have that?" And she said, "Oh, Snapchat has that now. So like all my friends have one, and they can give it a name and give it an avatar. So when she goes onto Snapchat, it's like a buddy she has on Snapchat, but it's her own AI."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That concerns me a little bit. I gotta look into those settings, because I'm like, because then it'll say, "Hey, I'm here. any questions you have, because she read me, like it gives the kids like an introduction, like what they are and how they can help them. And it's like, you can give me a name if you want, and I'm here to answer any questions if you need me to look something up. And so for them, it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I thought that was strange. Huh. Why do they need that?
Well, they don't need it.
Right.
Well, here's the thing.
But it's almost like you're getting them. It's a conditioning thing.
But it's not for children.
Right. But it almost feels like now they're just getting these kids used to that. Like that's going to be a normal thing. And everyone has a bot. Everyone has their own bot. And you give it a name, and she gave it an avatar. She showed it to me.
You build a connection with it. Yeah. And it's just like you hear about those guys that were building connections with their AI bots, and they were actually in relationships with them.
So weird.
And I mean, they obviously knew that they were, not real. Right. But they would talk to them and spend time with them, and they were, expressing feelings and yada, yada. It was real enough for them to develop an emotional attachment to it. But these things aren't for children. It's almost like when they had the TikTok guy on the stand, and they were talking about TikTok and yada, yada, yada. And they were like, well, let's ask him if he lets his children use TikTok. And he said no. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, no shit. Just parent. Stop your kids from doing the things that you don't want them to do.
Right.
And yes, I can agree with you. It's strange, and it sets this thing. It sets up this thing that is going to further put more of a wedge between interpersonal communication, like people actually communicating with people.
Right.
But we're also thinking from the mind state of where we are today. And we're this forever evolving species, right? Where, there are a lot of things that we do that people will look back and be like, they do that shit. And we go, yeah, this is normal. It's okay.
Yeah.
So I guess this is just where people are going. And there's no stopping it. I guess the only thing that we could do better with it is maybe develop laws around it and develop ways to.
It's going to have to be that way, I think.
You know what I was thinking? And, first of all, a lot of this stuff is trend. Right. So some of these things are just going to be a phase that we see today, and then it might end up going away, because nothing that we do today are not nothing, but most of the things that we do today are not going to be long lasting. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like we do this with everything. We do this with. There was a time where everyone was doing Snapchat filters and doing now you really don't see that too much. Like if someone had bunny ears, you're like, really, that was so 2018.
Yeah, right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So right now we're just in the groove of, this AI can make music, and you can make my artist do this, and yada, yada, yada.
True.
And we're going to enjoy that until we don't enjoy it anymore.
Or until there's something else.
And there are going to be, exactly. And there are going to be some people that are going to enjoy it, and they're going to stick with it. And there are going to be some people like, I'm off that. No, on to the next. Because we just get in the cycles of things. But I think that one thing that we might implement in order to help let people get a better understanding of what's real and what's not is we're going to figure out a way to add some sort of blockchain to everything. Like the whole blockchain idea, kind of like how cryptocurrency does and NFTs do, where everything links back to one thing. And AI, as it gets better, we're also going to develop ways so where we can detect if something is AI or not. I would imagine they're going to do it, right?
Yeah.
And everything will be on this blockchain. So if this is not a real person, then you could possibly look into some sort of coding or whatever it may be, or look into the blockchain and figure out, okay, this was created by, Dan. Dan created this. So this isn't Susie from Wisconsin. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
that you're not really duped. Like there's always a way to figure it out.
It's going to have to be. Because if not, you're never going to know what's real and what's not.
But is it going to matter?
Oh, yeah, we had this conversation.
Like, is it really going to matter what's real and what's not? What's real is how you feel. What's real, like when you really break down real, and I'm just a nigga from Cleveland. I don't know shit from shit, but I do a lot of thinking about this. What's real is your reality. Like, that's what's real to you. You get what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. Yes.
Like, watch this. We know, and we've proven time and time again that human beings suck at remembering and actually being able to regurgitate what took place in a particular event, right? There are going to be a handful of people out there that can actually see an event and say exactly what really happened,
yeah.
right? But for the most part, people are going to have an altered version of what took place. It's usually not too far off, but it's different enough to change your perception of what took place, which it will ultimately be your reality of what took place.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
What?
In my mind right now.
What's that?
What happened with the nanny?
Yeah. But I'm not going there. But we can use.
That's where I'm going.
We can use something as simple as like a car accident, right?
Yeah.
If a car accident took place.
They did this with 9/11.
Okay.
I don't remember what documentary I was watching, and it was like people who saw it happen, and how then they asked them about it, and in all actuality, their memories were not correct.
It was all fucked up.
Right.
But you can't tell them any different.
No.
And they probably see this event take place as false.
Right.
But it's real to them.
Exactly.
But it's not real as far as like what actually happened. Right. And unless you have video footage like the nanny thing, then then it's hard to actually truly understand what perception is actually the real reality, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I say all that to say, if we get to a point where we can't really figure out what's real and what's not real, we just accept whatever we want to be our reality as our reality.
But how's that going to work if everyone does that?
As far as what?
Anything. Like anything. Because that's at the end of the day, there is a truth.
Right.
So.
But would it matter?
It matters to me.
Watch this. Let's say we get to a point where we're all wearing like AI goggles or something like that. I'm trying to be in the future. I'm not a creative, so I don't know. But let's say we all have these glasses or contact lenses in our eyes, something like on some Black Mirror type shit, right? And if we're all wearing them, we all get to see whatever augmented reality is happening, right? So let's say we could get to a point where you wouldn't need to get surgery. Let's say you wanted to correct your face, or you want to pull something back or whatever. You don't have to go through painful surgery anymore. Now you can buy something on the internet or whatever it's going to be called, in X amount of years from now. And everyone that is wearing the contact lenses can see the corrections that you want the world to see of you.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So it's almost like a filter that looks super duper real and no one can tell the difference, right? And I fall for you and I fall in love with you by the way you look, even though without that you might be dog shit ugly. You see what I'm saying? But what difference does it make? Because I like your personality. You're a sweet person. I like hanging out with you and all these other things. And I get to enjoy this. Or watch this. What if I don't agree with how you want to look, but I can alter you how I want you to look?
That's crazy.
But you don't necessarily have to know.
Babe, that's insane.
It sounds insane, but it sounds like a world where there might be some sort of equality somewhere. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if I'm happy and you're happy and our reality is my perception makes me happy and I can alter my perception how I want to alter it. You can alter your perception how you want to alter it and you're happy.
There's got to be a downside. Things just don't work that way and there's no consequence.
Well, sure. Maybe.
No, maybe.
The batteries run out of your, like the subscription runs out of your,
right.
And now you're left with seeing
your
what's really going
down.
on. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. But if we're all in this world together and this is what it is, then, and maybe that's where not our generation and not the generation below us, but maybe that next generation is not going to know anything different than that. That's what it's going to be. This is what humans do. Humans are now personality based. And then we can do all the cosmetic shit and all the vanity shit. We can do it however we want to do it, like that. Right?
What are you looking at?
Nothing. I was just making sure it was going on. I get paranoid.
I know.
That's my reality. But you get what I'm saying?
I do.
Oh, what's real?
I know what's real.
What's real is we're about to talk about this rule number 3.
Yeah.
You ready for it?
I'm ready.
All right. So rule number 3, I believe, is it really titled love holds different weight for different people?
I don't believe so.
Or did I just write that?
I think you made that up.
Okay. Can we get the actual
that was your version,
rule number 3?
Your reality of what
my reality of it? It sounds legit.
Well, it says define love before you think it, feel it, or say it.
That's what it says?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the actual thing for rule number 3. So maybe what I wrote down there was something that I highlighted.
Probably.
And I just put it in there.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess say that one more time.
So define love before you think it, feel it, or say it.
Okay. So this is all before you fall in love. You make sure you understand what love is
to
you. Right.
Right.
Which is why I think I wrote down love holds different weight for different people. Right. I'm sure he said it. So I'm just echoing what was said on one of those pages. But yeah. So that was my first takeaway. We're just going to get right into it, people. So do you want to go in on this because you had something that you thought was really interesting that kind of leaned into
in the phases of love. But initially, like, I highlighted this because I was like, oh my God, you don't think about when you say I love you to somebody, you say I love you, but you're defining love the way you define love, however that looks for you. And for everybody, it's different. So when you receive the words, I love you from someone else, they're saying it however, whatever they think love is. And I mean, I've never sat down, I think, especially before this, and thought about how do I define love? What does that look like for me, really, in all actuality? Right. I'm learning about it more in our relationship for sure. And how I think some of the things I thought that love was or were important for me aren't even anymore. Or why I thought they were important, I had to really like break it down and think, is this really important to me? So many things, but it's like that really hit me. Like, it's true. We all have different definitions of what love means to us. And so when we say it, we're coming from that space.
Right. Again, and it's kind of like a perfect segue, and I didn't plan it this way.
Yeah.
But yes, it's coming from your perception of love, like what you perceive it to be.
Right.
And you kind of project that on the other person.
Right.
And when that other person isn't giving you what you expected them to give, or
by
what
your definition of what love is, right?
Then now you feel like, in some cases, you feel like you're not loved. And in the best cases, without even people knowing it, sometimes people just align. And their definition of love is the same thing.
Right.
Which I guess would be the beauty of being with someone from a similar background or, similar childhood with, from a similar area, yada, 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 morals, ethics, and values kind of line up. But a lot of times people don't get that. No. And I think that's where, if I had to guess where a lot of people fall short in their relationships, that's where it falls short. Because if you don't even understand that there's levels to this shit,
right,
then you wouldn't even know how to create a space where you can have a conversation about it,
right?
Because it's not a thing. It's a what would it be? Unknown kind of thing. Like there are known unknowns and unknown unknowns, right? Like you don't even know you don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like, where do you go from there? I mean, obviously you would pick up a book and now there's someone that's much smarter than us that will give us these little secrets. There's that. But
or the trials and tribulations that a growth relationship is going to present for you, these questions to come up even.
Right.
There's that too.
Right. Which we did, there was like a trendy thing, the 5 love languages and yada, yada, yada. But this is way deeper than that.
Way deeper.
Way deeper.
That's very surface.
That's very surface, because that's just how you express or how you want love to be expressed to you, but on a more giving, but that's a giving.
I was going to say, and even that can come from actual traumas. You know what I'm saying? That might even not be genuinely how you really want to receive love. Because my love language is gifts. I'm not saying this because it's changed, so please continue to buy me gifts.
Yeah, but it's funny. You didn't even open up. There's a whole box down there.
Also, I would have said physical touch was on the bottom, or you could just remove it altogether. But now it's like up there with you.
Because it's changed.
Yeah. So there's, but then I've changed and I've learned things about myself in this relationship. So even the 5 love languages to me could even not be what they really are. I mean, it could be, but I'm just saying you have to be open to the idea that it might be different with different people, or it might change.
Or like even, and this is just off topic of the 5 love languages, but still on topic about just what love means to me. And it not translating to you. And it's not to say that you're not loyal, but I will always say loyalty. You get what I'm saying? Because on a surface level, that's what I think of when I think of love is loyalty. And there are things that have come about in our relationship where I have felt that I wasn't getting the most out of you as far as loyalty goes. Not that you were doing it, just, she wasn't cheating or anything like that. But I mean, you know what time it is. And maybe one day we'll open it up here. But I would say those things and it wouldn't resonate with you.
Well, also, exactly.
You understood where I was coming from and what I was asking.
Yes, but I didn't view it that way.
But you would say, to me, that's not love. But before we read this book, it's like, okay, you're asking me and I'm telling you. But now you're telling me that the love is this. And we were almost not really arguing the definition, but we had a disagreement on what it should look like.
Right.
And then it's like, oh shit, well, you can have your way and I can have my way.
Right.
As far as like what it is. Because I didn't budge.
Right.
And you weren't budging.
Right.
Why? Because it just looked differently to the both of us. And there is no Webster, And maybe they should be a little bit less reckless with that word. And put a little asterisk under there like, hey, this is kind of go any kind of way, but this is kind of like a general idea of what most people would agree on.
Right.
But I mean, it can look differently. Like I've heard of people that, if there wasn't yelling or fighting, then you don't love because there's no passion. You would hear that. And there are people that genuinely believe that. And there are also people that go, you fucking yell at the person you love?
Right.
Like
that's crazy.
Why
that's
the fuck
not
would you
love.
do that?
Yeah.
That's not love. That's toxic.
Yeah.
And we shame it. But for someone, regardless of what you actually may believe should be right or should be wrong, either way it goes, to kind of go back on what we were talking about in some of the I can't remember if it was rule number 1 or rule number 2. I think it was the karma one where 2. So rule number 2, karma. So you're a product of your environment. You're a product of what your parents molded you to be and what your childhood looked like and what your life has looked like and all your experiences, whether you like it or not. So whether you like it or not, that's your normal.
Correct.
Now, I'm sure there are ways to get around that and, have a healthier relationship. But without knowing that might be what you truly identify with. And if you don't get that passion from someone, then you think that's not love. Oh, they're just being passive and they actually want to sit down and talk. Then that means that they don't care because they're not getting upset. And but
yeah,
they might not see it that way, but that doesn't mean they love you any less. They just don't love you the way you are expecting to be loved.
Right.
So is there anything you want to add to that?
Not to that part, no.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one, which kind of goes into the before you get into a serious relationship phase, is this rule was talking about the idea of going on 3 different date nights with one individual.
Yeah.
So your first date night with this person should focus on getting to know their personality.
Right.
By maybe asking some good questions. And then they kind of break down some questions and examples, right, of things you could do to help better get a gauge on someone's actual personality. Now, my only pushback to that would be, and he kind of said it in there, it's kind of hard to just do that in one date, only because a lot of times people are putting on
that's why he has a 3-date rule, is what you're saying.
Right.
He said typically, this isn't for sure all the time, but typically within those 3 dates, you're going to get enough of the personality in the attraction phase that he talks about, because he breaks it up in phases, this rule.
Correct.
to let you know if that personality is something that you think you could move forward with or would work well with yours.
Right.
Obviously, with time, other things are going to come up. But he's just saying 100%. For you to want to pursue possibly a relationship with this person.
Correct. And then the second date would be heavily focused on getting to know one another's values. Mm-hmm. So, and then of course he breaks down the ways you can ask questions in order to kind of get a better understanding of what their values are and how you could kind of open up about your own values.
Right.
So that person understands where you're coming from. And then the third date is heavily focused on goals, understanding their goals. And I guess between setting up your dates with the mind state that you're going to extract this information from this person and you're going to give it to this person, then throughout those 3 dates, you're going to be getting a little bit of mix of all three of them. Mm-hmm. Right. But just making sure that you set those up could set you up for success as far as actually getting to know the person that you're potentially going to make your partner.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty neat. Anything else you want to add to that?
I know in that phase of attraction, he talked about vulnerability too.
Okay.
And I thought that was good because he was saying, let's say you decide in that when you're starting a relationship or getting to know someone, mm-hmm. like you're going to be opening up to them. Mm-hmm. And as you're opening up to that person, like that should be escalating with time. Like you don't want to give everybody something completely up front, all of it at once.
Correct.
But then you do like a little bit in the beginning and then it gets deeper or whatever. And then that made me think of like in our relationship, like I didn't even realize like some of my vulnerabilities until like certain points of our relationship. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like even sometimes you don't even know what you're going to end up getting from another individual because it's the relationship is going to trigger vulnerabilities.
Correct.
That wouldn't have happened otherwise.
And I think that's a natural human reaction.
Right.
You know, like, and not to take away your experience and it being exclusive to you, but I think for a lot of people out there,
necessarily exclusive to me, but
especially people that are coming with, I'm just going to say baggage for lack of better words.
Yeah.
But people going into relationships with prior experiences, you might be hesitant on being, without even knowing, on being less vulnerable in certain areas. And then it's brought out in different ways because of your level of, comfort, your level of how you feel for the other person. Like
right,
as you start feeling deeper, the stakes are higher.
Mm-hmm.
So now with the stakes being higher,
you've invested more.
Right.
So now it's
exactly
more serious.
So now it's what could have been a small trigger is now a bigger trigger because it's wrapped in fear, right? Fear of, is all this going to be going to waste? I feel this way. I don't feel safe because you're afraid of pushing forward and pushing past.
Right.
And, I guess a lot of that would have to do with trust that the other person isn't going to fuck you over kind of thing.
Right.
But that might not be because you don't trust the person because that person has done something wrong to you, but you don't trust that person because of how life may have treated you before.
Not even necessarily another relationship. Yeah, just
correct.
Life.
Right. So if you're a woman that has had bad relationships with males, not even just boyfriends or significant others, but you've had issues with uncles, father, cousin, brother whatever it may be, then it might be harder for you to trust a male partner right away. Or if you do, you might find yourself in a position where, like you said, in different stages of the relationship, you become vulnerable in different ways and things become more uncomfortable in different ways because as the stakes get higher, your the cynic in you kind of starts rearing its head.
Yeah, as like a defense mechanism for sure.
But I think that's a natural human reaction. But how you handle it would be what could either make or break you, make or break the relationship, or make or break your partner. Because now your partner might feel some type of way about something because of some, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No. Is there anything else you want to? Good, solid on that one. Okay, so this one I really thought was dope, and we kind of touched on this briefly in one of the other rules because we kind of thought it was a part of the other rule, but it turned out it was a part of this one. But this states, or he was stating, that it's important to have multiple deep relationships with other people, to avoid looking for everything in one person. So just in case I fumble that up, it is important to make sure that you have multiple deep relationships with different people, like
not
friendships,
necessarily romantic,
not romantic, friendships, things like that.
Yeah.
In order to avoid looking for a partner that has all the qualities that you want in one, because that's not going to happen.
Right.
It could happen. It's possible. And there are people out there that I guess you could say kind of, drew the lucky card or 1 in a million. And
but that, to me, that also sounds dangerous.
Yeah, because now you're leaning into that.
Everything is in that individual. Yeah, that's. I don't think that would be healthy, even, honestly.
Because where do you go?
What happens if if it doesn't work out,
or even what happens if you're beefing with that person, and then who you talk to?
Right.
Like, damn, I wish I had some. Like this person.
It also puts a lot of pressure on that other person,
especially if they know.
Yeah.
Like you're my all in one.
Right.
Like, ugh, really?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to go have brunch with somebody else? You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. Like that's kind of yeesh. But yes. And so with that, if you were looking someone that loved art as much as you do, if you were looking for someone that also loved music as much as you do, or like Quentin Tarantino movies as much as you do,
right,
then maybe it's important to have a best friend that you can experience art and painting with, and then another friend that you can experience music and concerts with.
Right.
So then that way, if your partner is missing a handful of things that you might wish you had in a partner, you have that in another
it's satisfied
relationship.
Elsewhere.
Again, not romantic,
right?
But whether it be a family member, whether it be a friend or whoever it may be, just someone that you can share that experience with, and then you feel complete.
Right. And then that ties into another thing that I like that he said. It was how you handle your differences is more important than finding your similarities. Basically saying like you're going to have differences in a lot of different ways, but it doesn't necessarily have to be deal breakers. So this fantasy we have of finding that person that has everything that we're looking for, like you're never going to find that. And that could stop you from finding a good partner.
100%.
And then to what we were just saying, you just have to, those other things that they don't have, you get them somewhere else.
Right. Which is very important.
Right.
So, and like you said, more important to relieve some of the pressure off of your partner.
Yeah.
From having to be your super
everything
being.
Literal
unless we start hooking up with AI.
Oh God, see?
Then I can have everything I want.
That sounds so scary. I don't like it.
All right. So this is the last one that stuck out to me was the idea of being with someone out of choice instead of necessity, instead of needing that person. So you're with them because you want them and not need them. And this really spoke to me because this is something that I've been saying forever. I'm pretty sure I've said 1,001 times on this podcast. And even this is like one of the first conversations that you and I have had is I have always said that I wanted someone that wants me and not needs me. And I didn't understand what that meant until being in one particular relationship. And the idea of being needed, it's too much pressure. And just the way that I see a relationship going as far as the roles that each one of us plays, the role that I play, the role that you play, none of that would say that I need this person needs me for XYZ. It's even playing field. We both want each other. We could both have everything that we need on our own. The only thing that we would need from each other is just, need each other's company, love, affection, but not in like a needy way, but just like, hey, I need that to make me feel good.
Right.
But again, not in a needy way, not in a creepy way.
No. Yeah, I understand.
Because there is something to be said about like, I don't need you for anything. Like that's kind of fucked up. to say.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that's important to say.
You get what I'm saying?
But I don't think it's that extreme.
Like, no, I actually need your touch from time to time. I actually need your attention. I actually need you to make eye contact with me and make me feel loved. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Not because
show me that you. I need
not
you
because
to show
I'm
me that
needy
you
and
like
I'm insecure, but because like, goddamn, like what? You know? Then you end up like anytime I think of, you know, someone not getting what they need, and I don't know if this was the case for this person, but it just tickles me every time, is the Arnold Schwarzenegger story.
What about
with the maid?
What about it?
Like, I would imagine that his wife probably wasn't meeting his needs.
Okay. I'm like, where are you going with this?
But then that maid was treating him like a king and meeting his needs, and then he's walking around. There's like a half Mexican, half Arnold Schwarzenegger walking around that looks just like him.
And it looks just like him. It's crazy.
And it's by the maid.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a wild story.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what. But yes. Be with someone out of choice and because you want them, and not because it is a necessity.
Right.
Like, you shouldn't have to really mean it when you say I can't live without you. Like, that's
right.
Kind of. Or you don't want to be that person that uses people, and then now you're hopping from person to person in order to have a roof over your head, you know, have your needs met, you know, like food, shelter, you know, electricity, clean clothes, you know, kind of thing. Like, that's fucked up.
Right.
Because in that case, then you're using someone.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts?
I have some thoughts, but I don't know if I want to get into it.
Okay. This is the space to do it.
I know, but we can table that maybe.
Okay. All right. So did you have anything else that you want to add to that?
In general?
In general.
To the whole rule?
Like, is there anything else that stuck out to you in rule number 3 that you wanted to make mention of?
I think it was what I already mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, there's certainly a lot to unpack in that rule. There's a lot. And there's, like we've been saying, there's a lot to unpack in the book in general. And pick up the book and read it for yourself, because I'm sure there are going to be things that are going to pop out to you, whoever you are. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
You ready to get out of here?
Yes.
All right. If you made it this far, thank you for rocking with us. This has been another episode of the Feelings First, Facts Later podcast, a podcast where we saying shit, but we ain't saying shit. Peace. That camera just went out too.
Which one?
That one, like, just went out just now.
Really?
And you know what I forgot to do? Forgot to delete the damn last video.
But you always do that.
I did on that one. I deleted that one, but I didn't do that one.